Good evening, I'm Richard Rellis, in tonight for Jose Cardenas. We'll talk to the director of a local health organization working to change attitudes about LGBT issues in the Latino community. Twin brothers talk about their experience as first-generation college graduates, and an exhibit focusing on the historical and contemporary perspective of the Bracero program in Arizona. All this coming up straight ahead on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Arizona State Senator Steve Gallardo made headlines as he publicly came out following the announcement of Senate Bill 1062 that was vetoed by Governor Jan Brewer earlier this year. Earlier this month, during a legislative candidate forum, 4 District 29 House candidates were asked questions about their sexual orientation. How have views on gay issues changed in the Latino community? Here to talk about this is Dr. Elizabeth Ortiz de Valdez, founder, president, and CEO of Concilio Latino de Salud, a nonprofit, community-based organization dedicated to improving the overall health of the Hispanic community here in Maricopa County. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And of course, when we talk about health, we don't talk about the absences of disease, but really the expression and the potential intellectually, physically, spiritually, and emotionally of any person.
Yeah, and it sounds like for the last 25 years since you've started this group, you go into communities and try to start the conversations that maybe people don't want to have.
Yes.
When we deal with issues about in the LGBT community, the gay community, what don't people want to talk about? How are Latinos viewing these issues?
I think the views are in the whole spectrum. There was a lot of stigma associated of being gay, especially when the HIV epidemic started. So that increased the stigma. But once the dialogue start coming out and people start understanding that to being gay or to be lesbian is not your sexual preference, but it's your identity, it's who you are sexually, emotionally, spiritually. And that has changed all the perspective that we have. Still, there is a lot of stigma, and there is a lot of homophobia that we can call about, but all is really, the seed of this is the lack of information, that people do not understand what to be gay, what to be a lesbian means.
Because we've seen attitudes change across the country, across
Yes.
all demographics, across all ethnic groups. Is it different? Are there cultural differences that make it harder in the Latino community, or is it about the same?
No, it depends. Like the majority of those Latinos that are limited in Spanish or prefer English come and arrive from a more conservative belief system where the Catholic Church was more influential in their growing up. So you will see more traditional Latinos monolingual or limited Spanish, that those that have more recently arrived and have a different perspective in life, like in Mexico City is one of the first cities in Latin America where the gay marriage is it's a privilege and it's a right, even before the United States. So it really depends a lot where you are coming from.
So acculturated, I guess, say, the third generation Arizonan who grew up in a Catholic household in Arizona or California might have harder views than
Correct.
someone who just came. So does that reflect Mexico and Central America's attitudes towards
Absolutely,
this
it has
issue?
also changed, and it changes
And it
if
sounds
it's
it's
rural
changed quicker.
area or it's in the urban city. So it really depends of a lot of factors, but in general, that's the situation. The more acculturated you are, the more, the more tendency to be more conservative in your views.
Does it surprise you that a man like Steve Gallardo, who's been in the public life so much, would be closeted, or that people at a forum would be asked by a gentleman to state their sexual orientation, and he was even afraid to say the word gay?
Yeah, I don't think it's right for us as community to ask people about the sexual orientation in the political arena, because it has become something bad to talk about, or he's coming out of the closet, but they are brave, and it's about time that if you are gay, lesbian, heterosexual, it does not matter if you are a good leader in the community.
But you're seeing it get better, I guess. I mean, again, like attitudes have changed around the country. You're seeing people be more understanding, abuelos be more understanding of their grandchildren.
Yes, and more capable to even support their gay son or granddaughter or grandson into this. But everything is about education, and everything is about the experience. When people is in contact with another person that feels that it's different from you are, in this case the gay community or the lesbian community, and you see that they are just like you, even better than you in many instances, then you look at the human being and not at the sexual preference.
And then that helps with overall health and be able to talk about issues that might be
Absolutely. Sexuality is part of health, and it's very important to talk about these issues at early stages. So we're talking about sex education, we're talking about also how you're responsible of your body and how you're responsible of your interaction with others.
And it's important to have this conversation here, and I thank you for having it with us, Dr. Ortiz.
It is my pleasure.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Clemente Rico Rodriguez and Marilio Rico Rodriguez both graduated from the design school at ASU with degrees in landscape architecture. These twin brothers are first-generation college graduates, and they're here to tell their story. Let's welcome Clemente and his brother, Marilio. Welcome. First of all, we practiced in the green room. Have I said your name correctly?
Yeah, that's
okay. Good.
That's great. That's fine.
Twins born a few minutes apart, but it sounds like from some of the stuff I've seen from ASU, you guys weren't like close all your lives. You didn't have the twin bond going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting because a lot of our friends would always say, it's like, oh, so where's your brother? And, even a lot of our professors would say that, and we'd never, it's like, no, I think he's in school. He should be in school. But, that's kind of how we grew up in our family. Our family is we're not so close to each other. And so we try to keep our things to each other.
You're not in each other's business all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, but it completely changed when we went to ASU, because we were in the same program, meaning we had the same schedule, same classes, same professor, and also just to make it easier on ourselves, we were also roommates in the same dorm, so that we could share the entire room rather than just half and half, which that's what happens in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but the sibling rivalry was okay. There's no.
No, it was everything. Everything just was better, I guess. Like he was saying in middle school and in high school. It would just seem like everybody, each of us just did our own thing, But in college, everything just came together in a way. But one of the things that we had between us is that since we were in the same program, we knew, okay, so this is what you can do, kind of criticize constructively, of course. But it worked perfectly for all of us.
So you came over here about age 11. Mm-hmm. What was your childhood like, and what part of Mexico did you come from?
So we were born in Guanajuato, Mexico, which is central Mexico, in a small community called El Durazno, of 400 people.
El Durazno.
El Durazno, so the peach. And only 400 people live there. I mean, the level of education, the highest level of education is elementary school there. So, you know, growing up there, we never had the idea that, oh yeah, we're gonna end up going into college and graduating and becoming professionals. The idea was, turn 15, and then we'll do what most people do, or if not, in fact, everybody does there. Just migrate to the United States to look for a job, and then get married, and then just that norm, that norm that our little community has, and in fact, a lot of places in Mexico. So, we come from this poor family, so a lot of the resources weren't there to kind of support education. So coming here, having the opportunity to move here, I mean, it was just something that I'm sure we never expected.
Yeah, I mean, you come here not as a little kid, but 11-year-old. What were your first experiences like? What did you think of this place you had been brought to?
For sure, it was definitely a culture shock. For sure, we were always used to since it was a really small community, you would have trees, you would have this green landscape, but as soon as we got here, it was nothing but parking lots. Everything was just concrete. So it was overwhelming at the beginning, and most of the time we try to stay home and just be within ourselves in a way. But I guess just over time we just got used to it. We started meeting new people, friends, that kind of have the same similarities, and I guess letting ourselves be exposed a little bit more. And over time, we just got used to it, for sure.
But with your parents not having much education level, when did you get the idea that you could? When did college become something achievable, possibly, for you?
One of the things is that our parents they appreciate education, and they know that for most of us, it's a way to overcome and have a better life in a way. So they know they. But one of the things, that's one of the things that they made us do. We would always go to school. They didn't care what we would do. They didn't care which path we would choose, but they just wanted us to be in school.
And I imagine because your father came here earlier, applied for residency, was able to get the family in with papers, you probably had opportunities, and I don't know if you had classmates that maybe were in a different situation with their legalization that may have made a harder road for them.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, where we come from, even where we got our education, we come from communities where there's high numbers of Hispanics who they're either in the same position as we were, or didn't have the opportunity to be here legally and have the opportunity to go to college. So and even we have a lot of family members who are in the same situation. So us moving forward to with this different path and kind of having our family members staying back, it's some, it's in a way it's kind of sad, because personally I think we believe that we want to have something good for everyone, but that's kind of the way it is. But at the same time, we want to have we have the responsibility, right? So now that we have the opportunity to get an education, we feel like we have the responsibility to help not just our family members, but also just individuals who are staying back because of legal
and also
reasons.
Help the community, because your senior project that you worked on together, landscape architecture, there was an element of social justice to it. Talk about, I don't know which one of you wants to take the lead in talking about the I-17 project you conceived.
So this semester's project for our studio was focusing on working on a system, and I personally, we don't want to become designers where we just want to make something pretty, but we want to become designers who find problems and have solutions for their problems.
So we know I-17 by South Phoenix, there's a lot of industrial area and a lot of people living and going to school right up there. So this looks like it tries to clean the air as the cars go by?
Exactly. So because of, we know that, everyone's going to use a car, and that's the reality. And if instead of finding ways of getting rid of the car, why not find ways to kind of mitigate the problems the car causes? And so while we were doing our research, we found that titanium dioxide it's a chemical compound that actually reacts with car emissions, and the reactions of those car emissions create nitrates and water molecules, which become actually food for plants. And so, at the same time, we wanted to find a way to, not just have reduce the air pollution, but also have a aesthetically pleasing structure over the freeway.
Is it pie in the sky stuff? I mean, how expensive would this be? Is it realistic? Can we get a Kickstarter together and try to build this thing?
Maybe not. But the idea or our concept was just to, make people start thinking about those kind of, we tend to ignore those kind of problems that we have here in Valley. We don't really think about people who live near freeways. Maybe the noise is a problem, but they don't realize that there's more to that. There are things that we don't see, but they're even more harmful to the people who live there, or especially students. There are several schools that are near freeways, and with the research that we did, we found it's just so bad for them, especially for children. So this is a way to start making people think like, maybe we should start doing something.
So I guess you sort of set a very high reimagining of what a freeway can look like, and maybe somewhere in the middle there's a practical use for it. Because this is are there ways? I mean, talk about the spaces you want to produce in the city, things that are achievable, that sort of have that social justice element to it. What can we do as a city?
I think what has to start is the conversation, that discourse about what do we need to do. I think one of the challenges with for example, the landscape architecture profession is that we're staying in a level where we're not really producing new things, and because there's a lot of environmental impacts happening because of industrial components of the urbanization aspect. So what we need to start thinking about is, well, how do we work with those changes, and how do we reduce the impacts that the urbanization is having in the environment? Now, there are different, several designers here in the Valley and also around the world who are focusing on that, who try to make changes or maintain or reduce the impacts from urbanization. One thing that has to happen, though, is that the discourse about design, and I don't think it's the designer's job to make the entire space, but it's also having the communities, because successful projects are the ones that are taken over by the community members. Those are truly successful projects. So
that they adopt them and make
exactly.
Them their own.
So we need to educate the communities.
And we'll probably have you back. Let's hope in the coming years as you start building projects in Arizona and California and Spain, wherever else you end up. Clemente, Murillo, thank you both for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To find out more information about what's on Horizonte, go to azpbs.org and click on the Horizonte tab at the top of the screen. There you can access many features to become a more informed Horizonte viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button or by scrolling down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. Learn about more specific topics like arts and culture and immigration. You can also find out what's on Horizonte for the upcoming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or you want to buy a video, that's all on our website too. Other features include our collection of website links and a special page for educators. While you're there, show your support for Horizonte with just one click. Discover all that's on Horizonte. Visit azpbs.org, Horizonte today. Here at Horizonte, we want to hear from you. If you have comments, story ideas, or questions, email us at horizonte@asu.edu.
The Bracero program brought millions of migrant Mexican workers to the United States from 1942 to 1964, offering them short-term labor and mostly agricultural contracts. There's an exhibit going on focusing on tools used by braceros, as well as artifacts, photographs, and more. Here to talk about it is Marco Abaran, curator of the exhibit, artist in your own right, but curating this. What do we need to know about the Bracero program? What don't we understand about it?
Well, the Bracero program was very complex in terms of how much influence many of the social activism that happened after that, including right now, art. It had an immense growth in the border parts of Mexico. from the people coming through the border first and then going and then crossing to the United States.
And it's a personal story for you. Did you know much about the history of your father? Did he talk about it as you were growing up?
Not until later I found out that he was actually a bracero, and that and some of the experiences that he had. Because I worked with him in the 70s, going through the fields too. So he used to tell me all the stories. That's when actually we met with Cesar Chavez and during that time. But he was telling me all the stories when he was a bracero.
Oh, so your father came through the Bracero program, was able to stay and
Right.
remain a farm worker.
He was actually recruited 3 times in Mexico. It was in 1946 the first time, 1951 the second time, and then 1960 the third time. So
And so he may have not wanted to tell the stories. You're probably glad he did, and he was able to. He had some photographs and artifacts, right, that become part of this art
Right.
exhibit.
right, and we include art. When I put together the exhibition, was actually asking the artists if they had some kind of connection to the Bracero program when they were creating the art.
So yeah, so we're looking at your family arriving in California. So back and forth, and also some of the. I mean, what should we experience? What do you think the art lets us see as we're going through?
There's personal stories for some of the artists that also when they ask their parents, their father, because many of the mothers were part of when they were coming as families, but most of them were just dads that came and went through the program. But those are the stories that they're basically telling through the art, and some of the personal stories that also were written by the artists.
And some of the artifacts that survive, and here you found, I mean, and I imagine this was a find for you both as an artist and as a son.
It's a treasure
to
for
find
me,
you.
you know, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to emphasize is that little things like this, that are treasures as a family, they're also part of the history. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with this exhibition is to show that we are part of the American history, that we are part of the American experience.
But you're also showing us this as an artwork. I mean, this is a piece of art.
Uh-huh.
So, and this was your father's lunchbox.
Right, it's one of the lunch boxes. I have another one that is actually in the exhibition as well.
And inside are some of the tools. I think there's a short-handled hoe that's part of
Right.
the artifacts.
Right.
And inside here you even have some.
Yes, I have some clippers that he used when by cutting lemons, and the photograph that is over there showing basically when he was in LA was actually before Disneyland developed, and that's why they call it Orange County, because there was a lot of citrus in that area there.
I mean, looking at this again as a piece of history and an artifact, but you can, looking at it as art, you can sort of sense the labor in it,
Right.
the intensity. What do you see when you look at your father's clipping tool? here?
Oh, for me, are memories. I mean, I actually work in the fields too, and use many of these tools as well. So for me, it's a very personal experience.
So the artist you brought in, what kind of work did they create that we'll see here?
They created from paintings to sculptures to graphic work, paper art. So it's basically in all mediums, and I'm really happy that they participated, because this exhibition is going to be part of another exhibition next year, in collaboration with the Smithsonian, a traveling bracero exhibition. So that's one of the reasons also that I wanted to make sure that this exhibition was strong.
Do we see the artifacts? Is it segmented out? I mean, as we've shown the gallery on the screen, we've seen some sort of political statements or almost whimsical pieces next to artifacts. How was it presented in the physical space within
well,
the gallery?
actually, on the entrance to the gallery, you're going to see a statue made by Sarco Guerrero as Cesar Chavez. And because Cesar Chavez was influenced by this program, even though he didn't like the program, and rightly so, because they abused many of the workers. But it was influenced in terms of how he got started. So that's how basically, that's why you're going to see enter into the gallery.
And so, but it's interspersed
It's
artifacts
first with art, artifacts, and the like.
And I guess at the end of it, we see that it's part of the Latino experience, part of the American experience that has created what we would.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to emphasize, that there's a history there that we still need to capture.
And you've helped us capture it tonight and at the exhibition, which we've put up the address, but 2811 North 7th Avenue, the Willow North Gallery. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
That is our show for tonight. From all of us here at Channel 8 and Horizonte, I'm Richard Rellis. Have a good night.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.